And we're back.
Here we are again, the Horror Guys.
What episode is this?
99. Almost to 100.
Almost.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Brian.
And we're here to talk about horror movies.
Surprise! It's horror films. Who knew?
Horror stuff, yeah.
Well, we got good stuff this week.
Like bony hands.
Oh, you and your bony hands.
I got bony hands.
Yeah, what I got that's bony you can't put on video. Anyway, we have horror films this time.
Yep.
What do we got?
We got La Llorona, another La Llorona. There's
not the big budget one, a new one.
There's a lot of them out there, but this is a 2019 version.
Is it 20? Is it 19? I thought it was 20.
IMDb says 2019.
Probably released in America 2020. Okay.
Yep. And a cool film called Blood Quantum, and a classic oldie from the giant monster time of Deadly Mantis. And what else we got? A Dracula with Jack Palance, believe it or not.
Dan Curtis's Dracula from the 70s.
Mm-hmm. And we got a short in there, too.
We do. We got a short.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first up, we have another ancient classic, black and white.
Deadly Mantis.
1957.
When giant monsters and radiation and things like that were scary.
A couple weeks ago, we did Tarantula. This time it's Deadly Mantis. Who knows what could be next?
Giant anythings.
Frogs, probably.
Yeah.
Directed by Nathan Joran, written by Martin Berkeley and William Allen. Stars Craig Stevens, William Hopper, and Alex Talton. Hour and 19 minutes. Link in the show notes if you want to pick up a copy at Amazon. Did you like it?
It was okay. It was okay in every way.
Yeah. You seen one big bug, you seen them all, kinda.
Yeah, this one didn't really have anything new. It was okay. It was okay.
Yeah. The technology for giant creatures was newish at the time, and who didn't like giant praying mantises?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, yeah, it's kind of tame by today's standards.
And it actually wasn't radioactive. It was just prehistoric.
True.
But it was big and scary.
Well, you want to tell us about it, or should I tell us about it?
Yeah, you should tell us about it.
In the southern Atlantic Ocean, a volcano explodes. We're told, exposition time, that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Up near the North Pole, icebergs start tipping.
Uh-oh.
One of them falls down and reveals, dun dun dun,
the Deadly Mantis.
Yes, and then credits roll. So you see, even in 1957, they knew that volcanoes exploding in Africa would cause the icebergs to melt at the North Pole.
Well, that's obvious. Yeah, equal and opposite reaction and all.
I don't think they were doing global warming. I think they were saying like the vibration.
The vibration.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You shake Africa real heavy and the North Pole goes...
Yep. Sympathetic vibrations.
They got it right, but not for the right reasons. Well, then we get a lecture about radar and about the electronic radar fences that we had set up all over Canada to watch for attacks from the polar regions. The evil commie Soviets, if they were to attack America, would shoot their missiles over the North Pole, over Canada, and into the United States.
Well, so fighter jets or anything coming in.
Historically, we had big radar towers all through Canada, the early warning line. This is all history. There's a lot of history in this one. And, yeah, well, that's where we get a lot of lessons about that to begin with.
So it's inspired by true events, is what you're saying.
It's really happened.
Yeah, it's a documentary.
Well, Colonel Parkman arrives at Red Eagle 1, the command post for the DEW line, the distant early warning line. Further up the DEW line, a weather station spots something on radar that soon attacks them. Command soon notices that the station isn't answering their radio. A rescue plane is dispatched. They find the weather station a wreck, and the men are missing.
Uh-oh.
Something ate them.
Something big.
A base spots something on radar and launches fighters to investigate. They don't see anything, but it's not long before one of the planes is knocked out of the sky. They find a mysterious pointy thing in the wreckage. Kinda looks like a claw, but it's like 6 feet long. The people at the base send it to the Pentagon, who confirm that it is a huge creature of some kind. They ask an expert, Dr. Jackson, who can reconstruct dinosaurs, to take a look at it. He's going to take this claw and redesign whatever was behind it. Jackson narrows it down to a giant flesh-eating insect of some kind, and he thinks it might have been frozen alive in the ice at the North Pole. And then all of a sudden he just comes up and says, it's a praying mantis.
Spoiler.
Yeah, it is. Well, we then cut to a bunch of Inuits evacuating their town and being attacked by, you guessed it,
a giant mantis.
Yeah. Jackson and his photographer, Marge, hop on a plane to the deep north.
And spears don't do much against a giant mantis.
Bigger than a house.
Yeah.
As they get settled in, the mantis approaches the base. The Colonel and Jackson have a long discussion about why no one has seen the creature, while the mantis looks in the window right behind them. Why haven't we seen that thing?
It's right behind me, isn't it?
Well, they scramble fighters and start shooting with guns and flamethrowers, but that doesn't stop the thing.
It's tough.
Yeah, it eventually flies off, but they all got to see it, so there's no longer any doubt about what it is. It's then reported at the Mid-Canada line, which is 1,500 miles away. That means it can fly over 200 miles an hour. I'm skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if
Travels
the bug
fast.
was really that big, it couldn't fly that fast.
It doesn't seem like it.
No.
But the science is so bad anyway, just,
Go with it.
Just go with it. Don't overthink it.
Also, they notice that it's heading due south toward the USA.
Uh-oh.
They explain everything on a special news report that goes out to all live TV and radio in the USA. Everyone is waiting for the mantis to show itself again. Some jet fighters shoot missiles at it, and although some do hit it, it doesn't kill it. It does, however, land. That evening, the Colonel and Marge drive home, and they hear about a nearby train derailment.
Coincidentally, just happens to be right by them.
Yeah. These coincidences always happen in these movies.
Mm-hmm.
They check it out and head toward home. They stop to make out a little while.
Yeah.
And then they hear about a bus accident in the area as well. Someone spots it flying over Washington, D.C., and the army goes berserk. It crawls up the side of the Washington Monument. Because if you're visiting D.C., you gotta climb the monument.
Well, everybody does, don't they?
Yeah, Spider-Man did it. It's been done so many times. They track it for a while with lots of shots of people looking at the skies and calling in sightings. They shoot it down again, which then it lands in New York City.
Uh-oh.
It hides
Pandemonium.
It hides in the Manhattan Tunnel, which they then fill full of smoke to drive it out. A group of armed soldiers go in after it. There's a lot of shooting, and they finally kill it. As they examine the body, it starts moving again. Dr. Jackson says, "It's okay, it's just a reflex. It really is dead." The end. Yeah, but was it really dead?
And did it lay eggs?
Or, yeah, that's a thing too, yeah.
Did it have babies? Yeah.
Well, the first 5 minutes seemed to be a propaganda film for the U.S. military of 1957. Actually, much of the first half hour looks like it was shot for a documentary about life in the Arctic. It's got jet fighters, big ships, radar, dew line, and all your favorite Cold War technology.
Very Cold War. Yeah.
Very, yeah. They couldn't decide what they want to do with all that old war footage, so they made a monster movie. The Mantis is a practical model, unlike the film Tarantula, which we just did a week or two ago.
Where it was an actual tarantula.
They used a blown-up footage of an actual spider, and it wasn't that good. Yeah. The Mantis here doesn't really look all that realistic, but it's clearly visible and not the victim of camera limitations. Although it didn't look as realistic, I thought for the movie it did pretty well. It's a long time before we see the Mantis, and once we do see it, it's mostly flying around. Still, for the most part, it's not boring, and if you're interested in the military hardware of the 50s, you do get to see a lot of that.
And giant monsters attacking and eating people and
They do.
destroying buildings and infrastructure and things like that.
You can't beat giant bugs destroying buildings. Of course, termites do that, and they're not that giant.
Slower.
Yeah. What else destroys buildings? Which takes us up to the 70s.
What else destroys buildings?
I don't know.
Dracula. Okay. Yeah, well, I bet he could if he really tried.
One piece at a time, just like everybody else. Yeah, so we've seen all the Christopher Lee Dracula movies. We've seen all the Bela Lugosi Dracula movies.
And then in
Who could top
1974,
them?
Jack Palance playing Dracula.
Yeah. Well,
All breathy. He was always all breathy.
suck your blood.
He was a very breathy actor.
Yeah. You got to do the whole stringy neck thing, too, because that's his thing.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Directed by Dan Curtis, the same guy who did Dark Shadows. And you can see that here in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Written by Richard Matheson.
If you've seen both, you'll recognize things
Yeah.
and shots and director choices.
What if Dark Shadows had actual Dracula?
Uh-huh.
Stars Jack Palance, Simon Ward, Nigel Davenport. Hour and 38 minutes. And it also looks, it was filmed in England, so it's very much Hammer looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very.
And I mentioned that later.
It's like Hammer meets Dark Shadows.
It is, yeah, it really is. Hungary, 1897. Dracula gets in his carriage as the dogs prowl around the castle, and the credits roll.
Those wild German shepherds.
I think they were supposed to be wolves.
I had an issue with the dogs, the ferocious wild packs of wolves.
Looked like a pack of friendly German shepherds.
Yeah, they were so much German shepherds. They tried. I mean, they didn't show them close. Or,
somebody's evil pet.
And they were running around a lot, and they had them. Yeah,
Yeah.
Creatures of the night.
Not wolves.
Yeah.
Well, the next morning, another carriage arrives, and this one carries Jonathan Harker. He gets a letter from Count Dracula with instructions for how to get to the castle. Harker follows the instructions and arrives at the castle. Dracula invites him in. Dracula then offers him dinner, but doesn't join him for the meal. He says he's eaten already. Harker is a real estate agent who has properties to show to Dracula. Dracula spots a photo of Harker's fiancée Mina and her friend Lucy. He's very interested in the land near where they all live, a place called Carfax.
Now let me just intercede here. If you're thinking this plot sounds familiar, it's because it's the exact plot. I don't think did it beat for beat. It's the book.
Same as many others.
It's the same, the same classic Dracula story.
Well, actually, I think in the book, Renfield went there first.
Okay, not the book.
Yeah.
But there wasn't anything new here.
Nothing new, no.
Yeah, that was my biggest gripe about this.
I think that's my biggest gripe about the entire film, is there's really nothing new here.
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah. Mm-hmm. Jack Palance did a fine job, I thought, as Dracula. I liked him in the role, and everybody looks good and acts good, and the sets are beautiful, and special effects were decent, but we've seen all this before. Yeah.
If you were to take your memory of what the Dracula story is and make an outline of it, this is that.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes most of the Bela Lugosi Dracula, a bit of the Francis Ford Coppola version, which came long after this, but that's in there too, and the book, and it just kind of gets stuff we've all seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, he's very interested in a land called Carfax. Dracula is very soft-spoken and very polite. He says he will buy Carfax. Dracula then bores Harker with some old Hungarian war stories from hundreds of years ago. The clock chimes and Dracula says he has to go, but that Harker should write home saying that he plans to stay for a month. And Harker's like, what? You just signed the papers. We're done.
And
no, you're going to stay for a month.
He has way more dialogue than Christopher Lee ever did as Dracula.
I am probably going to get slammed for saying this.
More dialogue than Bela Lugosi had.
Christopher Lee as Dracula is just horribly overrated. The guy did like 8 films and didn't say probably 50 words.
In the whole series. Yeah.
The luckiest man in show business. Mm-hmm. He looked good as Dracula, but yeah, doesn't do anything for me.
Send us your hate mail now.
Yeah, I don't like Christopher Lee's Dracula.
There, he said it.
I like all the films because Peter Cushing's entertaining.
Yeah.
Christopher Lee could have been replaced with a stunt. He was replaced with a stunt double in a couple of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so Harker sleeps through the whole day, and Dracula insists that he write a letter, and it looks like he plans to keep him locked up until he leaves. He finds a coffin marked Vlad Tepes from 1475. The painting on the wall looks just like Dracula, and the woman next to him in the painting looks just like his friend Lucy. That long-lost love from long ago.
Same Dracula and his lover reborn, reincarnated, whatever you want to call it. She's back.
Back again. Harker finds himself surrounded by 3 vampire women. Dracula pulls them off just in time and forces Harker to write that letter. He leaves, and Harker is locked in. As he tries to escape, he finds coffins and boxes of dirt in the cellar. He finds Dracula sleeping in one of the coffins and tries to kill him, but the minions stop him.
Nope, can't do
The
it.
3 women get Harker, and we don't see Harker again. We don't know what happened there. Do we?
No.
Yeah, off screen.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, 5 weeks later in England, a ship is wrecked, and we see Dracula and his boxes of dirt. Things went badly for the sailors. Mina arrives in town and learns that Lucy is suffering from a strange sleepwalking illness. They're bringing in a man named Dr. Van Helsing to help with her care. Same old story. Same old story.
Yeah.
Van Helsing looks her over, and he immediately has his suspicions. He insists that she wear a garlic wreath, which seems to really annoy her. Of course, Arthur and Van Helsing go to sleep on watch, and Dracula lures Lucy outside. They kiss a lot, and then he bites her. They wake up and find her, and then it's time for a transfusion of blood. Van Helsing finally explains about vampires. They take precautions, and Lucy starts to recover.
Yay, she's all better.
Van Helsing leaves for a while, off to parts unknown, and then we see Dracula break a wolf out of the zoo. He needs a pet. Or an accomplice,
Needs more
whichever.
familiars. Yeah.
That night, Arthur hears a wolf howling outside. It breaks through the window and attacks him. He shoots the wolf dead. But during the attack, Dracula comes in and gets Lucy once again, this time killing her for good.
Well, until she comes back as a vampire.
Yeah, there's that. That night, Arthur sees Lucy tapping at his window from the outside.
Let me in.
He lets her in, and she almost bites him. But just then, Van Helsing rushes in and shoves a cross in her face.
Yeah.
They go to her crypt in the morning and stake her. Dracula is unhappy and flashes back to soldiers dragging him away from his first dead wife. He then trashes the entire family crypt. Lucy and Mrs. Westenra go to town and stay in a hotel. Dracula follows them while Van Helsing tracks down the owner of the boxes of dirt that was recovered from the Demeter. They find 9 of the 10 boxes at Carfax, but 1 is hidden.
Good thing he stashed one away in a secret place.
Yeah, why put all 9 of them in the same place? That wasn't real smart.
Hide them in 10 different places.
Yeah. Worked for Voldemort.
Yeah.
They rush him. I guess Dracula never saw Harry Potter.
No, it was before his time.
Yeah, well, they rush home to find Dracula has taken Mina and turned her into a vampire. Once she dies, she'll become like him. Dracula then returns home to find 9 of his boxes of dirt are burned. This scorched earth isn't useful to him, so he has to go to his 10th box. Van Helsing hypnotizes Mina, and she tells them where to find Dracula.
Because it's a two-way connection.
They take a train to Transylvania, while Dracula takes a ship back the way he came. It's a race to get to Dracula's castle first. Arthur and Van Helsing get there and find the 3 vampire women, whom they easily stake. Dracula then attacks, but Van Helsing pulls down the curtain and blasts him with sunlight. Oh, there's one from the Christopher Lee. While he's disoriented, they stake him. The end.
And it doesn't really kill him. The sunlight just kind of stuns him.
Yeah. He doesn't die from the sunlight, but they do stake him while he's confused.
Blinded and confused,
Yeah. Well, it's Dark Shammer. That's pretty good, yes.
Dark Shammers.
Dark Shadows meets Hammer. Flashbacks, music boxes, paintings, and the love story are straight out of Barnabas Collins' story. The detailed sets and all the visuals look like they came straight from the Hammer set, and yet the plot is the same old Dracula you've seen before.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Lucy Westenra resembled Dracula's long-dead wife from far in the past. It's completely understandable why he was upset at her death, but it's not clear why he was so obsessed with Mina. If Lucy was the reincarnation of his dead wife and they killed Lucy, why go to all the trouble for her friend who isn't anybody?
Because she was delicious.
Well, there is always that,
tasty
yes.
blood, yeah.
Yeah, goes better with gravy. The acting is fine. The visuals are fine.
It was fine.
But the problem here is the story. It's pretty much exactly the original Dracula story, only with a few of the characters removed. There's no Renfield.
No, there isn't. Should have been. Could have been.
How fun is Dracula without Renfield?
Yeah, that Renfield especially.
Well, there's absolutely nothing interesting or innovative about it. It's all done well, but it's just fine.
Believe it or not.
Yeah. Wow, I see what you did there. I'm tempted to get down on the floor and do one-handed push-ups, but I won't, because podcast.
And nobody would see them.
It's okay, I couldn't do them. Dude was 90 years old and in better shape than me.
Yeah, he was in a pretty... he was a healthy feller, yeah. Where
And
was that? Was that one of the... Was
Academy
that the
Awards
Academy
or
Awards?
something? Something like one of them big awards.
Showing off doing one-arm push-ups.
I'm 85 years old. Watch this.
He was not young then when he did it. Yeah.
No, he was really old. I don't know. How old did he live to? It don't matter.
Very old, yes.
He's probably 45. He just looked old. All right. Then we've got a short film for you.
That somebody was in and somebody directed.
Yeah.
We can't tell.
We had somebody email us and say, I'm subscribed to this channel called Netflix
And chill.
Netflix and Chill, which is, as far as I can tell, 1 or 2 short films.
Short flicks and chills.
Short flick. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
And we got a link in the show notes that'll let you go watch it. It's really good.
It is.
But there's no credits in the beginning. There's no credits at the end. There's no credits in the YouTube description. So this is a real cool film that we don't know nothing about.
Now, and in the comments on the YouTube video, there's a hint that the actor is Jack Griffo.
But it doesn't appear
But
under his IMDb listings.
His IMDb credits doesn't list it as a credit.
Yeah.
So, just a side project that didn't make it to IMDb yet, or it looks like him. We've seen pictures of, he's a Nickelodeon actor. He's got 39 acting credits. He's done a decent amount of stuff. He was very good in this.
It was very good, yeah. So go ahead, take a look at this one. The link is in the show note. Watch it. If you know anything, send us an email. We'll fix up our listings.
Yeah, so we can credit these people. Yeah.
There's a link in the show notes, and it's less than 6 minutes long. So, a young guy is getting ready to move house. Everything is all packed, and he's ready to move. He accidentally pokes a hole in the wall and finds a small box inside the wall of his closet. Inside the box is an old pair of glasses.
Smoked glasses.
Yeah, kind of antique-y looking glasses. Mm-hmm. When he tries them on, he can see into the past, where he witnesses a murder. And things go badly for there.
And it's very cool.
What'd you think?
It was really well done. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
It's really short. It's really simple. Looks great.
Got a story. Got a beginning and an ending. Good actor. Good directing.
It's one of those things that could be an entire movie
Good
by
effects.
itself, but as it was, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's well framed, lit in the creepiest way possible. The pacing is good, and the ending is unexpected. Definitely worth a watch.
Big thumbs up.
And the mystery of who's in it, who made it.
Probably Jack Griffo.
Anything you can tell us about
But if it is him, why not?
Let us know.
Why not have an IMDb entry on it?
So many of these YouTube shorts, I know the Alter channel often squishes and cuts off the credits, and I find that very annoying.
And this one just completely cut him off.
Well, most people don't care who's in it or who made it, but it'd be nice to know these
People
things.
like us too, yeah.
So, about 6 months ago, we watched The Curse of La Llorona, which I believe was still 2020, or maybe it was 2019. But it was a big budget version of the La Llorona story that is in the Conjuring universe. And I thought it was okay. I think you thought it was decent.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't that. This is a different one.
This is completely different.
It's not The Curse of. This is just called La Llorona.
Llorona.
2020. And it is was it Guatemalan?
I believe so.
Yeah,
yes.
Guatemalan film with subtitles. So if you're watching one in English, that's not this one. Directed by Jairo Bustamante. Written by him and Lisandro Sanchez. Stars Maria Mercedes Caroy, Sabrina de la Hoz, and Margarita Kenefic. And 1 hour, 37 minutes. And it's available streaming, I don't know, probably Shudder, I think.
Yeah, I think
I'm going to say Shudder.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah,
not, then
so.
look at Netflix. But it's streamable. Did you like it? You can say it.
I feel like I'm supposed to say yes, but no, I didn't really like it very much. And I didn't think it was really horror. And I just didn't dig it.
All right.
Yeah.
I certainly agree with what you're saying about it not being horror. It is in the last 5 minutes.
Not
That's
really.
about it.
Not really even then.
Okay. I would call
didn't
it
think
a
so.
supernatural drama.
There was no supernatural. It was all in their heads.
Was it, though?
It was all guilt and, Yeah.
Okay, so he didn't like it. I'm a little more ambivalent on it. I did like it, but I won't say I'm going to recommend it.
And it crosses over with real political events in the region, in Guatemala and in the region. And,
Yeah.
bad people doing bad things to other people. And,
We open on a group of women praying in a circle. Credits roll. Well, what was that about? Oh, we'll find out.
We quickly find out.
We see that the woman is Guatemalan General Enrique Monteverde's wife, and she's facing some kind of trouble. One of his old aides mentions that if the general goes down, we're next. The whole household seems really concerned.
So this is the wives of all the general and all his cronies.
And it's looking like
they're having separate gatherings in separate rooms of the house.
Yeah.
And they're all worried.
Looks like there's a coup going on.
Stuff's coming down. The general is accused of doing bad things, and the reckoning is happening. Yeah.
Justice ain't great when you're on the wrong side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that night, the general wakes up hearing wailing from someone in the bathroom. He gets out a gun and goes looking for whoever it is. There's no one there. He nearly shoots his servant in the kitchen. He swears he heard wailing, but no one else did. They take away the old man's gun. His wife and daughter say, stress makes Alzheimer's worse. All the servants want to quit. Nobody wants to hang around and get shot. Crazy old man with a gun.
Yeah.
We cut to the hearings, which looks like, the congressional hearings only in a foreign country.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Yeah.
a woman testifies against the general and his men. They did some pretty bad things against their own citizens. The general insists there was no genocide.
Yeah, an ethnic group that got heavily stomped on.
But the press is saying he killed 3,000 Mayan Ixil people every month to take over their land. He is found guilty of genocide. His wife is loyal to him, but his own daughter doubts his innocence. A week later, the conviction is overturned by a higher court. His court. So the general finally gets sent home, and he still hears crying. His home is surrounded by literally thousands of protesters.
Yeah, the people have really turned against him.
Yeah, but he's safe inside with his walls and security men. He focuses on one angry-looking woman in the crowd, and she turns out to be the new maid, whose name is Alma. Just take that mean-looking one right there and bring her in the house as a servant.
Well, that's what she was on her way already to the...
Yeah, but it's like he chose her, and she was not looking happy.
No. Picked her out of the crowd. I mean, well, he saw her in the crowd, and she was looking mighty scowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one night, the old man once again hears wailing and sees the new maid out in the swimming pool. He watches Alma get out, and she appears to be sleepwalking. He follows her into the bedroom, and the other maid screams that he is sexually harassing them. And he was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Latona, the security chief, gets him out of there. The general's wife dreams about rescuing Mayan children lost in the cornfield as someone pursues them. She wakes up to find that she's wet the bed. The stress is clearly getting to her as well. The general's daughter, Natalie, knows that the old man had her husband killed, but doesn't really want to face up to it, even though her daughter Sarah wants to know what happened to her father. His wife, Carmen, begins to realize what a monster he was as well.
And
the nightmares are a sign of it.
She's been in denial and suppressing it, and
yeah,
she's in a bad way.
The wife and the daughter depend on him for safety and support, and they've been in denial for their entire lives, and now they're figuring out that
the wife's much more than the daughter.
He did the genocides.
Yeah.
So there's an odd stain on the wall behind the general's bed, which I didn't quite understand that one. And Valeriana the servant thinks black magic is involved, and then she does some sort of exorcism on the old man. The security guard, Llorona, sees a pair of children that night, and they lead him away. Never see him again.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sarah grabs the old man's oxygen tank and jumps into the swimming pool. The general shoots her in the arm. Soon after, they all start seeing ghosts, and then they try to pray the ghosts away. There are more and more ghosts every few seconds. Carmen has a vision of the things her husband has done, and she breaks. She strangles him to death, both in her dream and in real life, and then the ghosts go away. At the funeral, one of the other generals start to hear a strange woman crying somewhere, and we're left for his revenge. All right, so I thought the political stuff was way more interesting than I would have expected.
It was very interesting.
There's a lot of detail. Mm-hmm. The general's family justifying everything seemed all too realistic. It all goes on a little too long before the creepy stuff starts. Mm-hmm. It's almost as if they decided to change direction halfway through the story and added the horror elements later. The ghosts don't really show up until about 15 minutes before the end.
I don't think the ghosts show up at all.
You think that was all imaginary?
I think so. That was my take. I don't know.
I think the ghosts were giving the wife visions to see what really happened there at the end. I mean, she couldn't know all those details. She couldn't know what happened to the maid's children, and that the general did it. I think the ghost gave her the visions.
Okay, maybe.
Or you could look at it as the guilt got them and they went crazy.
Yeah.
Depends on if you want it to be a horror film or a really twisted psychological thing. Mm-hmm. The cinematography is excellent. Everything is brightly colored, and yet it all seems very dark and depressing. It's all very colorful the way things are down there, and yet it's grainy and dark.
Yeah,
the stressfulness of the situation is apparent. Even though these people deserve what's coming to them, it's still very easy to empathize with their situation. The old man's got Alzheimer's. He doesn't quite know what's going on anymore, and yet he's a monster. Mm-hmm. Overall, I did like it, but it's a really slow burn, and other than the final scene, there's really not much in the way of supernatural stuff happening here. Real horror, on the other hand, is spread throughout the film. So, yeah, I recommend it. I liked it. I thought it was cool, but it's barely a horror film.
I give it a 4.
Political drama.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I would give it a 5.
That's all?
I don't regret watching it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'll leave it at that.
I do a little bit.
I did not dislike it in any way, but it's certainly not what I was expecting. And another one that wasn't quite what we were expecting.
Blood Quantum.
Yeah, we watched
Strange movie.
Train to Busan Presents Peninsula last week. Mm-hmm. Another new zombie film that we both kind of hated. But this one...
we both kind of liked, I think.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah.
2020's Blood Quantum, directed by Jeff Barnaby, and written by him also, stars Michael Grey Eyes, Ellie Maya Tailfeathers, and Forrest Goodluck.
And you're seeing a trend there by those names.
Gray Eyes,
Native American,
Tailfeathers, and Good Luck.
Indigenous people.
Yeah, Native, yeah.
Old bloodlines.
1 hour, 38 minutes. Did you like it?
I liked it, yes. I liked it quite a bit.
I did too.
Yeah. Wasn't perfect, but I liked it. Yeah.
No, it had some issues. But overall, I do recommend it.
Yes, I would too.
So we open in the Red Crow Indian Reservation in 1981. Never really saw the point of it being set in 1981 because cell phones aren't important here and there's no internet, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure why 81. Unless the Red Crow Reservation doesn't exist anymore or something. I mean, I didn't really look it up.
Yeah, I didn't look it up either.
For some reason, this happens in 1981.
Yeah, go
where,
with it. Yeah.
where we see a man catching and cleaning fish on the river. He cleans out the guts of one fish, but it won't stay dead. All the fish come back to life, and they're just flopping all over the place.
Yeah, they're beheaded and they're gutted, and and they're still alive. Yeah,
That's not supposed to happen. And credits roll. Well, we come back with Trailer, the chief of the Red Crow Police. He's checking out a man's dying dog. He shoots the dog to put it out of its misery. He puts it in the trunk of his car to dispose of the body. He then heads over to his ex-wife, Joss's house. She explains that Joseph, their son, got arrested again, and he needs to go to town and get him out.
and he's going to take his time doing it.
Yeah.
Let the kid sit in jail for a while.
Yeah, this is not his first time. There's a call about a drunk white guy eating a man's chickens. He's also told to go visit his father, and it turns out his father is the man with the undead fish. Trailer's never seen anything like that before. Neither's the father.
And then he hears noises from the trunk, where the dead dog was.
The dead dog who had been
Dead
shot.
dog is a zombie dog now, too.
Yeah, he's up too.
So it's not just humans being zombified here.
Haven't seen any humans yet, just fish and the dogs.
Mm-hmm. But weird stories, weird police reports and stuff is starting
We hear
to
things on
trickle
the
in.
radio.
Yeah, things in the background. There's weird things happening. Like the guy eating the guy's chickens. And,
Yeah, so the two men burn the fish and the dog. Meanwhile, the guy in the cell next to Joseph in jail is puking up blood. The policeman in charge is coughing too. The prisoner attacks the cop and Trailer, and they beat him to death. Except he's still not dead. Joseph is bitten in the scuffle. Joseph goes to see his... what happens when you get bitten in a zombie movie?
you turn into a zombie.
Every frickin' time.
Except
this one.
this one.
Meanwhile, Joseph goes to see his girlfriend, Charlie, who is pregnant. He goes to the hospital for a tetanus shot because he's been bit, but they're all out.
Because there's been a lot of human bites for some reason.
A lot of bites.
Yeah, people biting everybody.
Joss, who is a nurse, hears arguing and checks it out, and it's a zombie attack.
Yeah.
Loads
chaos,
of them in the hospital.
Chaos starts breaking out.
Taylor checks out a Trailer with an R, checks out a domestic dispute, but the man is high on coke, and the wife is a zombie in the process of eating their baby. She bites Trailer, and they fight. They head to the hospital, but they meet Joss coming back from there. Nope, not going to the hospital.
No,
it's a
not.
full-scale zombie apocalypse, and they don't want to head into the city. Time skip. 6 months later. The world has mostly been wiped out. The people from the Micmac reservation are immune, but no one else seems to be. The native characters who have been bitten, they're fine.
Yeah, they don't catch it.
They get health. They let the healthy survivor non-native people into their compound, but not the sick ones. It might be the last place on the planet that isn't overrun.
But
So somehow these Native Americans are immune to the zombie plague.
And it made me wonder, they don't know because they're all cut off and the world has no communications and everything. But, are there other reservations and tribes, lands, natives? Is it all the old bloodlines like the Aboriginal Australians? And, it made me wonder. But it's never...
We don't know.
It's never explained. You don't know.
Blood Quantum 2.
Yeah.
Australian backwoods.
Are all indigenous people, immune or, we don't know.
Yeah. And then in one scene we see Trailer take his shirt off, and he's been bitten dozens of times. The bite marks are everywhere, but he's immune, so he survives. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because if a human bit you that many times, something would get infected. Maybe it's not the zombie apocalypse.
Tetanus. Got a tetanus shot.
It takes more... Yeah, well, okay. It was a little sketchy.
He's probably fine.
Well, there's a party scene with lots of fairly boring drama between Joseph and another character named Lysol about how worthless their families are.
And this was the point in the movie where it precipitously drops. It's going along nicely and entertaining, and then, oh, God,
There's
it's
a
boring.
lot of drama between these two characters.
Nothing happens, and it's yakety-yak, but then it picks up again.
Yeah.
But there's this real low
Probably
period.
almost, it felt like maybe a half an hour of these two guys going back and forth.
I don't know about half an hour,
it
but
seemed like it.
It seemed longer than it was.
Yeah, the weakest point.
Real weak part in the middle there.
Yeah. Well, at least they continue blathering on until a girl zombie bites off Lysol's penis, and then things pick up again.
That does liven the movie up again. Yes.
Meanwhile, Trailer, his father, and a deputy go hunting to clean out a building full of zombies. Lysol goes nuts and stabs Joseph. He's not a zombie, he's just crazy. He sets the zombie girl loose in the camp to eat all the newcomers, and then things start getting away from the heroes as the infection quickly spreads inside.
Yeah, they had
all the non-natives that are living with them.
The non-natives in a compound where they were all safe and secure until he lets a zombie in among them, and just chaos.
Of course, Charlie and her baby, she goes into labor in the middle of the battle, and before long, there's not much left. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
The acting in this isn't great, especially the dialogue. All the dialogue sounds very artificial.
Well, and see, I thought it was. And I think some of it was a Native American way of speaking. There's a certain dialect, and, and I can't describe it, but, I think that was some of it. A very straightforward way of speaking, very simple way of speaking. Yeah, I don't know how to articulate.
I took it as they cast the actors on their physical descriptions rather than their acting ability.
I thought
they wanted real Native Americans,
they did
and they got them.
Yeah.
That don't mean they were good actors.
No, they were being all Native American-y. No, I thought they were fine. Okay. I thought the acting was very good.
Okay, so still the concept is very good, and the setting is what makes the film unique. There are a couple of scenes that are purely animated, and they were really cool, but the film could have used either a few more of them or a few less of them. As it was, they were odd enough that they felt distracting. You'd be looking at a tree, and suddenly the tree would grow lines. And I think there was like a baby growing under the tree or something. It was very artsy.
Mm-hmm, and short.
But they only do it like 3 times in the film for just a few seconds.
Yeah, just quickies.
It was neat, but there either wasn't enough of it, or there was too many, it was distracting. I'd say either get rid of them completely or put in a lot more of it. The worst part is that everything was under control until the troublemaker Lysol decided to kill all his own people for essentially no reason. Because he was a jerk.
And
I'm the bad boy. I'm going to ruin everything.
Well, and the zombie bit his penis off, too. That probably pushed him over the edge.
He didn't seem real sane before that.
No, he was pretty whacked. But that whacked him over the edge, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess the moral of the story is that white people are a curse on the land.
That's what they said.
This is probably not a new idea for Native Americans, but it's a bit more literal this time around. White people are a curse on the land.
And most animals were affected, but not all animals. So they couldn't...
That's a little more problematic.
Yeah.
When the animals are like, you can't kill the animal. What do you eat?
There was a limited number of things they could eat. Well, and plants, of course, but yeah. Food was scarce. Food was difficult. Yeah, they were struggling. But yeah, all in all, I liked that. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's our show.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks for joining us. Stop in at horrorguys.com to read all the reviews, leave us a message, watch the short films, order the movies, whatever you want to do there, we're good. You can also pick up our book, HorrorGuys.com Guide to Shock Theater. We do have the books somewhere down here.
Ooh.
Here's one of them. Universal Studios, Son of Shock. And we've got Universal Studios, Shock Theater. And I've already lost my copy of the HorrorGuys.com Guide to Hammer Horror. So yeah, pick up one of our great horror film books. So stop by and pick up one of the books. Meanwhile, next week, episode 100.
100?
Yeah.
Okay.
Going to do something a little different next time. Instead of just our usual 4 films, we're going to do...
Our favorites.
Our favorites.
Our favorite films.
Kevin's number 2 film. Mm-hmm. My number 2 film of all time. Kevin's number 1 film of all time. my number one film of all time. So you got, in our opinion, the 4 best horror films ever made. They're all fairly big budget, nothing too obscure. Mm-hmm. The week after that, we'll have some other stuff for you. We'll talk next time. Meanwhile, I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.